Всем здравствуйте. Скажите, пожалуйста, слышно? Напишите, пожалуйста, в чат, слышно ли меня, видно, и видно ли презентацию по возможности. Надеюсь, что все видно, и мы сможем с вами начинать. So, good afternoon. Hello to everyone. I'm glad to see everyone here at our victory lesson devoted to one of the most important events for our country. I hope you can see and hear me well, and you can see the presentation which my colleagues and me have made for you. Later, after the lesson, after our lesson, I will post the presentation to this chat so that you can later find it and see if you want. So let's start. How many people are with us? So there are about 17 people. Okay. Let's begin. And if someone wants to join us, please, we will be very glad. So today's lesson, as you know, today's lesson is devoted to the Victory Day, which will take place on the 9th of May, and which is considered to be one of the most important, meaningful, and dearest events to the people of our country. So, if you have any questions, you can write them down in our chat for me to answer them a little bit later, okay? So, the 9th of May is a national Russian holiday associated with the victory of the Soviet people over Nazi Germany in the Great Patriotic War, which took place from 1941 to 1945. The Great Patriotic War is actually the part, I hope you know that, the part of the Second World War. And the Great Patriotic War is the war of the Soviet Union, the USSR, against the Nazi Germany and its allies. Great is an outstanding event in the history of Russia and the USSR in terms of scope and duration of military activities. Patriotic means the war for independence and freedom of the motherland. So the Second World War, the Second World War started in 1939, since the Nazi attacked the USSR to the defeat of aggressors. On this next slide, you can see the occupation of Europe. It's necessary to say that just in 2 years, Germany occupied the following European countries like Poland, Denmark, Norway, and Greece. In the whole, the military actions of the Second World War were carried out at the territory of 40 states, as well at the sea and at the ocean areas. From April till May 1940, the German army occupied Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg, and later France. France had to capitulate on the 22nd of June 1940. At the same time, we have to remember that the allies of Germany, which is Japan, began its aggression policy against China and aggression actions against China. And Japanese forces began occupying the southern part of the country. Speaking about the beginning of the war between the USSR and the Nazi Germany, we have to remember that there was a non-aggression peace treaty between the USSR and Germany. According to this treaty, the parties dealt not to attack each other and remain neutral during the military actions if one party took took any and began any military actions against the third party. But it was Hitler who broke this treaty and the war began. The Great Patriotic War began on the 21st of June in 1941, when German troops invaded the USSR territory, attacking Leningrad, which is now St. Petersburg, Minsk, and then heading for Moscow and Kiev. Hitler considered these directions to be the most important for the further conquer of the USSR. Belarus, the Baltic states, Moldova, and Ukraine were occupied by the German troops as well. Again, at this image, you can see by the blue arrows how it happened. The military operation for the lightning capture, and I have to say that it was exactly lightning capture of the USSR, was called Barbarossa, because Hitler wanted and he intended to conquer our country as fast as possible. This plan assumed an unexpected German attack on the USSR and a quick occupation of the territories within 2 months. But as we all know now, however, Hitler underestimated the enemy. I will try to remind you about the main battles, the most probably one of the most meaningful battles which happened in the territory of our country, the Soviet country at that time. The first battle of the Great Patriotic War took place in the Brest Fortress, located on the border of the USSR and Poland. The German army planned to capture the Brest Fortress in the first hours of the war. However, the battle continued for more than a month. More than a month, the Soviet army tried to save this border. And you can see the dates that the battle began on the 22nd of June and lasted till the 23rd of July till in 1941. Probably one of the most famous events during the and battles, let's call them so, during the Great Patriotic War is the siege of Leningrad, which lasted, or it is called blockade. It lasted 900 days and nights. German fascist troops wanted not only to take the Leningrad, Hitler wanted not only to conquer, to occupy the Leningrad and its territory, but he intended just to burn the city, because he was sure and he knew how important this city was for the Soviet citizens, and he also knew it to be the symbol, and he knew how the Soviet people were proud of this wonderful city, and I guess that if anyone once has been there, you can understand why. The city is really one of the most wonderful in the world. So the German fascist troops advanced on Leningrad and surrounded it in nearly September 1941. And at the end, they couldn't enter it. The city was in a ring for more than 900 days. And here we have to remember that the people, the citizens, the inhabitants of the Leningrad, they have to survive, and they had to go through just enormous losses, because they, during this time, while the city was in a ring, they had to live almost without food, because very soon after September 1945, in November, the city was without water, without electricity, and a lot of people died. So the aim of Hitler was not only to take the city, but at the end he was sure that they capitulate. The city would capitulate, because people wouldn't be able to live without any food, any water, and just any things so useful in their daily life that they got used to in their daily life. And we can only admire just the honor and courage of the people who living without any food, any water, and for more than 900 days, they managed to struggle, they managed to fight, and they managed to provide the front and the army. The only way to bring any food, to pass any food, any products to the people which were actually captured in Leningrad was, I will tell you about it a little bit later, was through the lake of Ladoga, and this road was called the Road of Life. I think that we couldn't even imagine how difficult it was for the people of Leningrad just to try to live through all these hardest days. As I have said, as I have already said, there was no food in Leningrad, and German troops bombed the city every day. 250,000 bombs were dropped on the city by the Nazis. And according to the statistics which is available for us nowadays, it is said that about 3% of people of Leningrad died because of the bombs, of the bombing, but 97% died because of the hunger which was in the city during these days. You can see on the picture, you can see just a small piece of bread, which that days were given to every citizen. So there was a norm of food, just a certain amount of food which was given to everyone. Despite the hunger and bombardments, the city, as I have told you, went on living. So everything went on working. Radio worked, performances and concerts were put on the theaters. And according to the information which we can find in the diaries of the people who lived in Leningrad during the blockade, there are a lot of diaries. You can find them everywhere in the internet. These diaries are actually the memories of the people who had to live there at that time. People tried to do everything. They tried to do their best to help their city to survive, to help the Soviet army. The residents actively helped the front. They made weapons for the defenders of the city at the military factories day and night. And just because the main inhabitants of the city had to go to the front, women and children went to the factories to provide for the front, to provide for the living. Everybody tried to work despite the hunger, the cold. The road of life, which I have already mentioned so long ago. So we remember that during the siege of Leningrad, the city was in a ring, and it was just impossible. It was completely blocked, and it was impossible to deliver any food. The only ways for many days the only many months, the only ways to give some food, to deliver some food to Leningrad was by plane and by water. And in winter, food was transported over the ice of Lake Ladoga. This route was called the Road of Life. As you can see at the photo, just the trucks were going through the ice, at the ice. I read that if the trucks, if they delivered food to the city, later they left the city with the people. They tried to liberate people, they tried to evacuate people. This road of life slightly eased the situation of the Leningrad residents, some of whom, as I have already told, mainly children, were taken to the rear using the road of life to the east of the USSR. So the blockade was lifted by the Soviet offensive in January 1944, and we should always remember the difficulties which the people of Leningrad bravely had to go through. There were a lot of songs, a lot of poems, novels, films about the Great Patriotic War, and I should say that during the war, our composers and authors, they didn't stop creating something just to remember us later, to remind us about these terrible events. The great Russian composer Dmitri Shostakovich created his famous 7th Leningrad Symphony during the blockade days, and it became a symbol of the courageous struggle of the people against fascism. The Battle of Moscow is another very important battle in the history and on the way of the Great Patriotic War. The battle took place from the 30th of September in 1941 to the 20th of April in 1942. The Battle of Moscow is one of the decisive battles of the Great Patriotic War, in which the plan of a lightning war against the USSR was broken. More than 900,000 Soviet soldiers and officers died, and this victory improved the belief in defeating the enemy. According to the statistics which is available nowadays for us, we can say that the total losses in the Great Patriotic War is about 26 million people, included the civilians who helped the Soviet army. The siege of Sevastopol, which lasted on the 30th of October 1941 till the 4th of July 1942. In Crimea, German troops also tried to capture Sevastopol quickly, and despite the fact that the Soviet soldiers were 2 times less and equipped 10 times less than the German soldiers had, the siege of Sevastopol lasted 250 days. The Battle of Stalingrad is another very meaningful and famous battle, and a lot of poems, a lot of films were taken a shot and written about it and about the heroism, the valor and the courage of the people who wanted to save their motherland. The Battle of Stalingrad, now the city is called Volgograd, the most important stage in the course of the war, and it was one of the most important victories of the Soviet troops, the Battle of Stalingrad, which took place from the 17th of July till 1942, 1942 to the 2nd of February in 1943. The battle lasted 200 days, took place on a front extended up to 850 kilometers. The USSR took the strategic initiative with the victory in the Battle of Stalingrad. One of the most important and meaningful monuments devoted to this battle and to the heroism of the Soviet soldiers and Soviet people is situated in the city of Volgograd, former Stalingrad, and it is called the Motherland Corps. Next battle is the Battle of Kursk, which lasted from the 5th of July till the 23rd of August in 1943. Battle of Kursk lasted 49 days. As a result, it was a decisive battle in the course of the Great Patriotic War. The Soviet troops won the Battle of Kursk, and since the war began, the first salute, which was fired in Moscow in honor of this victory. Also, when Leningrad was freed, there were also the first salute in that city, when Leningrad was freed after its siege. Battles for Rostov-on-Don, our city, being the main source of petroleum for the entire economy of the USSR, the North Caucasus was the purpose to capture for the fascists at the beginning of the war. The road to the Caucasus went through Rostov-on-Don. The city was occupied by the German troops, both in the autumn of 1941 and in the summer of 1942. 339th Rifle Division defended the city. Rostov-on-Don was finally liberated on the 14th of February 1943. We have to say that during the occupation while our city was occupied, the people who lived there at that times also had to go through difficult times, a lot of starvation and hard starvation, hunger and difficulties. But despite this fact, they never stopped helping the front and the army. Partisans, the people, volunteers who were wagging the armed fight in the territory occupied by the enemy. These people, I think that these people played a very important role in the course of the war, and they tried to change it. They tried to help the Soviet army, the Soviet troops, sacrificing their lives. There were more than 1 million of them. Partisans were a real second front for the Hitlerists. The partisans were destroying the German support system by ruining railways, bridges, weapons, getting the information about the plans of the Nazi army, and so on. The Young Guard was an underground anti-fascist Komsomol organization working in the German-occupied Soviet city of Krasnodon, situated in the territory of Ukraine. And the activity of this organization lasted from September 1942 till January 1943. The number of participants of the Young Guard was more than 100 people. I should say that all of them were very young boys and girls who were very brave and who weren't afraid of struggling or fighting with the fascists. Among them, the most famous names were Oleg Koshevoy, Lyubov Shevtsova, Ulyana Gromova, and Sergei Tulenin, and others. All of them were given the title of the hero of the Soviet Union. The members of the Young Guard led anti-fascist activity in the occupied city of Krasnodar. They were spreading leaflets with the correct information of the progress of the Soviet army in the city. Also, they burned the fascist labor registry office, which helped to avoid the dispatch of the people of the occupied Krasnodar to the compulsory works in Germany. Vita Cherevichkin is another hero of war, Great Patriotic War, which was born in the city of Rostov-on-Don in a working-class family. During the war, it was forbidden to have pigeons during the occupation period because, as we know, the pigeons helped to transfer the information, and that's why the fascists just forbade to have pigeons. However, Vita Cherevichkin wasn't afraid of it, and he sent pigeon post with important information about the location of the fascist troops in the city. One day, unfortunately, the German soldiers noted the birds, and Nazis found Vita and killed him. Liberation operations. Huge attack operations were conducted by the Soviet troops in early 1944. Ukraine and Crimea were liberated. Eastern Europe liberation began since the spring of 1944. The battle in Berlin started on the 20th of April 1945. Soviet troops entered Berlin on 21st April. Fierce battles took place in the streets and continued day and night. On the 1st of May 1945, Soviet soldiers Igorov, Kontari, and Berest. Alexei Berest was a resident of Rostov-on-Don, set up a victory banner over the Reichstag. German surrender. The act of unconditional surrender of the German forces was signed on the 8th of May 1945 at 10:43 local time. On the 8th of May at 12:43 according to the Moscow time. So on this day is considered to be the Victory Day over the Nazi troops and the day when we commemorate the heroes. Losses. We have to say about the losses during the Second World War. Still, there is no accurate information about the number of death and injured people in the Second World War. Unfortunately, it's I think that it's just impossible to tell the certain number of people died. But according to the statistics, There are about 55 million victims, and more than 26 million of them are Soviet citizens. As I have already told you, including civilians. Let's speak about the symbols of the Great Patriotic War. One of the most famous symbols is the ribbon of St. George. Probably you could see nowadays a lot of people, especially children, wearing this ribbon of St. George as a just to remember the heroes of that time. Two-color ribbon of St. George is one of the main symbols of Victory Day. Black is a symbol of gunpowder, orange is a symbol of fire. Such color combination is a symbol of courage and bravery. The ribbon is a part of the Order of St. George, Russian main military award for centuries. Nobody is forgotten and nothing is forgotten is the main phrase of this holiday. When we remember this holiday, is an opportunity for the people of our country to remember those who sacrificed their lives for the freedom of others. And Victory Day is one of the most important national holidays in Russia. As you know, the main event of this day is a military parade on the Red Square in Moscow, where soldiers of the Russian army and veterans of the Great Patriotic War take place. They attend this parade annually. Unfortunately, we have to say that there are less and less veterans every year who could take part in this parade. Unfortunately, they leave us, but we will always remember them, and we will always remember how brave they were and what they did for our country. And again, as you know, this year the parade is delayed, and probably it will take place in June, and we hope we're looking forward to this parade later because it's really very, very important and meaningful. Another symbol of this holiday for us is the Immortal Regiment. Immortal Regiment is an international social movement created to save the memory of the generation of the Great Patriotic War, of these wonderful people, of the heroes, of these young men and young women. The members of the movement, with photos of their relatives, participated in the war, pass in a column along the streets of the city, along the main streets of the city. Again, it's an opportunity for everyone, for every family where grandmothers, grandfathers, grand-grandmothers, grand-grandfathers took place in this war and fought the Nazi regiment. Monuments to Soviet soldiers are located all over the world. And if you want, later, after our victory lesson, at 5, as far as I remember, it will be at 5. There will be for you a chance to know more about the monuments of Great Patriotic War, which are situated in our city. My colleagues have prepared for you also a presentation and interesting historical facts about these monuments. I think that it will be rather useful to know. So if you want, please don't leave the channel. I think that there will be another link for you to take it and to listen more about the monuments. Here you can see some examples of these monuments, which are famous for every citizen of our, which are famous and well known for every citizen of our country. So at the end of this presentation, I should say from my side that we should always remember, we must, I think we must never forget the events of that period, the heroes, our relatives, and people who sacrificed their life for us so that we could live now. And we should, I think we should remember them not only on the 9th of May, but every day. The Victory Day, of course, it's very important. It reminds us about the valor, the heroism of the army, the courage of ordinary people who fought against the fascist invaders, sacrificed their lives for the freedom of others. But I have to say that, to my mind, we have to do it every day. We must do it every day. We have to commemorate. We must commemorate the heroism of the people. So please, if you have any questions, you can write them down. I will post now. I'm going to post the presentation for you. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for visiting our victory lesson. I hope that this information was useful for you, and I would kindly recommend you to visit other events of our department. So thank you very much. I was very glad to get to know you. Thank you for your attention. And don't forget, please, that at 5 o'clock there will be another lesson, another victory lesson about the monuments, the great monuments devoted to the Great Patriotic War. So you are welcome. Please join the meeting. If you don't have any questions, I wish you to have a very nice day and hope to see you, quite many of you, tomorrow. So thank you for attention once more, and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. See you tomorrow as well. Thank you.
Извините, Оксана Игоревна,
Да.
я присоединилась по ссылке
Даша,
сразу к
English.
собранию.
Dasha, you can ask me in English. I will be glad.
It's Madina.
Madina, I'm sorry.
And
Dasha, I'm
yes,
sorry.
I tried to say that I joined the conversation, but I can't join the team, and I can't see the chat of the team.
So you couldn't see the presentation, could you?
I could see the presentation, but I can't join the chat. I can't see the chat. I saw the presentation when you showed it in the conversation, but I can't join the chat.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. If you need, I've just already posted the presentation into the chat. If you want, I can send it to you. I can send it to our WhatsApp group. I'm sorry, Madina, because I thought it was Daria. Daria, I'm sorry. I miss you. Dasha, do you have any questions?
I had the question Marina said.
The same. So you can't see the chat, right?
Yes, because we are just visitors. We have the link only to this conversation, not to the group.
Okay, and how? I guess that I can. I guess that I can send the presentation anyway. I'm going to consult one of my colleagues, and probably she will help me to do it.
Okay, and
I will try to do it.
sorry, if you want to visit the next conversation with the monuments of the Second World War, so can you send us the link?
Send the link, of course. Just a moment.
To our WhatsApp group.
Here. Yeah, I will send you here. So the lesson about the monuments will be also, it will be in English, in Spanish, and in French. So I know that those whom I know from the participants, I know that you know English, and I can see Ksenia is here with us. Ksenia, are you here? Yes, probably. So I will send you the link in English and in Spanish, and you will have a chance. You will have a possibility, opportunity to decide where to go. Okay.
Thank you.
So the first link will be in. It's for Spanish one. Just a moment. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at Teams at this platform, so it's in Spanish. And just a moment. Yeah, in English. Oh, I'm sorry, it was another group. Yes, so done. Check, please.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay, girls and boys, thank you for the attention once more, and hope to see you again in during our next lessons. And with a part of you, we will meet tomorrow, as usual.
Yes, see you soon.
See you tomorrow. So thank you and bye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.